back to the basement. For people waiting on the latest CX Turbo video, lots has been happening in the background, and there'll be a new video on that next week, once we get through the race meet this weekend. We've got heaps to do this week, but some of the key things are setting up the new wheels on the bike. I'll go through setting up a 2-stroke carb on methanol. The 100 little jobs around a bike. We're going to adjust the seat, got to adjust the oil tank, got to lock wire everything, just everything you need to make sure a race bike is ready, and then hopefully squeeze in a test ride. Lots to do, so that's enough talking. So this tyre has a taller profile than the old one, and this is a problem because we only used to just clear our oil tank under the seat there, so we're going to have to move this oil tank up, which probably means moving the whole seat up, which is not a problem as I've been looking to do that anyway. A couple of meets ago I had to quickly make an extension for the seat and made it out of some plywood painted black, and I've been meaning to fix it and put some padded foam on top, but never got round to it, so this is a good chance to sort that at the same time. We'll start by removing our advanced lightweight seat fastening system. I really want to get 20 millimeters, so we should just be able to drill it in place. Drill a new hole down the bottom here, move it up, and then we'll make the seat work after it's in position. So I just need to make a couple of packers. Unfortunately my 3D printer just broke and I'm waiting for the new part to arrive, but as soon as that does, we'll just print some spaces to lift this up, and it should work well. Cool, so we should have about 10 mil clearance, which should be perfect. Okay, we've got another problem to resolve. At the moment, to use the Kickstarter, the foot peg folds up, but I have to take this brake lever off every time, which is quite annoying because the Kickstarter is quite useful for flushing out the methanol or testing. So I've had an idea with the spare old Kickstarter I've got here, is to make a bit of an offset. Weld that there. And it doesn't take much force to start this, so I don't think it'll be a problem being offset, putting too much load on this bearing or this steel. I think it should work just fine. So just looking at that now, that's going to clear nicely. So I think we just weld it up and give it a go. Whoa, that's beautiful. Looks good. Let's weld it up. Now that's a backyard fix if I've ever seen one, but it's not stupid if it works, right? Before we put the welder away, I've got in trouble with the scrutineers on the last couple of meets, as it's got too much steering lock and it gets too close to the fairing when it's on. So we'll just weld on another piece of steel here to bring it out, close that gap. On a lightweight two-stroke, all horsepower matters, so it's important to keep your chain clean and not give away any free horsepower. Now ideally you'd have an ultrasonic cleaner for this part, but I don't have one, so we're going to use the old boat petrol toothbrush and shake in a bucket method, which works pretty well. See, I've already done it now, and you can see the colour of the petrol shows that it definitely needed doing. And we've also got quite a build-up of material in there that's just been stuck in the chain. Not sure if you can see that. Anyway, we'll give it a blowout, dry down, get back to the bike. That's enough fluffing around with the little things. Let's get this bike ready for a test start. We'll get everything back on the engine, and then we'll talk a little bit about the carb. Now, a lot of people say that there's no point keeping the oil pump if you're racing, but I tend to disagree with this. So we see our oil pump here. We've got our two lines, one going into the inlet with the fuel and air from the carb, and one going straight down this chute here into the main bearing. So this means two things. One, this bearing is always getting a steady stream of oil, which is not a bad thing. And two, this one here going into the back of the piston means that even when you're racing hard and shut off the throttle, it still keeps a good feed of oil coming in. And I know that you should blip the throttle, but it doesn't always happen. So that oil is a good safety measure that keeps a bit of oil coming in at all times. Before we get into setting up the methanol carb, this one here is my spare carb, just set up with standard petrol jets. So we're just going to put this on to test the motor running, bleed the oil pump, check the ignition timing, make sure we're all good to go. Fail. Good spark. .3D printer's still broken, so we've gone for plan B, which is use a bit of scrap plywood I had lying around. when you're putting your life on the line racing, you want to make sure you're using quality components. So that's why I use double-sided tape and plywood. Okay, I'll let that sit for a while, then we'll trim the edges. New bearing doesn't fit, so considering we're leaving tomorrow, unfortunately it means we're going to have to run the old one. Not something you ever want to do, but is what it is now. I ordered that off the parts diagram, so I don't know what's happened there. Those haven't been lubed in a while. Torque front wheels and drum brakes. This is my old wheel, which is off a Suzuki T350 1972, and it has worked reasonably well, but it's definitely been the one area my bike seriously lacked compared to the competition is braking. And then so the upgrade we've gone for is this wheel here, which is off the 1972 Suzuki T500, and then we've spoked on a 2.15 inch rim, which fits this tyre perfectly, which is the 100 by 90 18 profile. And while they actually look very similar, there's a pretty significant difference between these two in braking power, and you'll kind of see if we pull this apart. So there's our T350 brake shoes, and here's our T500. So we've got, I think it's a 1 inch bigger diameter and pretty much double the width. And it's also got a lot of inbuilt cooling with these fins here, so it should cool better too. So I think we're looking at a game changer here. We'll find out soon. We have to take 5mm off this brake plate to fit in the 250 forks. Ideally you'd do this on a mill, but we don't have one, so we're going to cut it with an angle grinder and then file it square. That went surprisingly well. I just checked it against the mark I made on the axle and it's pretty much bang on. So we're just going to tidy up the surface, take the edge off and assemble it. Okay, I definitely shouldn't have trusted those punch markings. You want them both facing towards this locator at the same time. As you can see, it's about 30 degrees out. So we'll start again. One tooth out. Okay, let's talk methanol. We've done our test start, everything's going well, so it's time to get ready to run methanol. Now the reason I don't do it till now is because methanol is essentially a pain in the ass. You have to flush everything after you use it because it will absorb moisture, corrode aluminium, rust anything steel, so it just generally is a bit of a pain. But why we use it and why it's such an awesome fuel is it keeps the motor cool, which in my case of an old air-cooled two-stroke is hugely important. And it does that by the amount of liquid as gas and just by sheer amount of volume of liquid it cools. And it also has a cooling effect as it vaporizes, which there's a lot of detail on that, but essentially just sucks heat out of the motor. And you actually feel the carb when you're running methanol. If you feel it, it can almost get frozen. It works that well. But the cost of this is you have to have twice as much fuel in the bike, and as I said before, you have to flush everything after each race day to make sure you don't do damage to the motor, the carb, anything really. But to get twice as much fuel, you have to set up the carb to handle that. And I was just going to show you, I have here, this is my petrol jet. You see the hole, which is a 330 jet, Mikuni, for those who know that. And this is my methanol jet, which is drilled out to 2.4 millimeters. So you can see there, significant difference in size. And along with that, also have to drill out, this is my needle jet we're going to use, which is drilled out to 3.1 millimeters, done actually by Terry. And then the idle jet is just a standard Mikuni 85. So the big two are needle jet, main jet, got a special high flow float valve, which you can see has outlets right around it, instead of just coming out the top. Let's put it together. Unfortunately, painting the fairing was meant to be the last job before this race round, but we're not going to get there. I'll be leaving in about 3 hours, so there's just no time left. I have some leftover truck paint, the same colour as this, so before next meet we'll sand this back and get it to match the rest of the bike, because at the moment it is a massive letdown. But fast over pretty, right? Geez, that was a big week, but we made it. Time was a bit short, unfortunately, due to other things, but we got there, that's the main thing. Bike's ready to go now. All that's left is to load up the van, and in about 3 hours I'll be heading to Taupo, and next time I see you, I'll probably be a lot more nervous and we'll be getting ready to race. Can relax now. It's good. See you at the racetrack.